I said.
Okay, so now when we're gonna go from now until the end, pretty much, we're gonna be moving a little bit. Just because it gets very, very technical in terms of the division of land. So it's lots of names and places, not a whole lot of a ton of narrative per se. So we're gonna look at this map. This is a nice color map of the lower half of Israel. I'll put it on the screen so that what is this? Oh, this here. Come on.
Is Mimi on?
Yes, she is.
Hi, Mimi.
I don't know why that's there. Somebody put that. Okay, here, share screen. And here we go. There you go. You see it? Healy, you see it? Okay. So this is get a little manageable. Okay. Fine. Now there are different opinions of this, of course, about who inherits what, where, when, how. But all right, let's see. So we just saw last time we went through the whole episode of Kalev, and Kalev came back on the scene. He's 85 years old, and he's going to get Chevron. But now we have to go to the territory of Yehudah. So it's the beginning of chapter 15. Do we have it? You have it, please? 15. Yeah, right in the bottom, right? Pasuk Aleph, right? There you go. Okay. So 15. Yehudah first. Well, Yehudah is the most, now that we're in Israel proper, Yehudah is the most important of the tribes because the Malchus comes from Yehudah. And of course, later on, as we know, and we'll see in Navi that they're a division of the kingdoms between the kingdom of Yehudah, the kingdom of Israel, kind of like the lower half and the upper half. Yehudah, it's this week's Parsha, actually. Lo Yasser Shevet mi Yehudah, that the kingship shall never be removed from the tribe of Yehudah. So all the kings came from Yehudah, right? Except not. Right? Who was the first king of Israel?
David is not Yehudah.
No, David is.
He is.
Who's the first king of Israel?
Shaul.
Shaul, and Shaul is from? Right. Right? We see Mordechai, Ben Yair, and Ishmini, right? So Shaul is from a Benjaminite. That's one problem. Okay, how that happens? All right, we'll get to that or not. Getting a lot of pushback on this Navi stuff. People don't love the Navi stuff. The real problem that, and if you want, again, it's a long Friday night coming up. I highly recommend read the Ramban in this week's Parsha on Vayechi on Lo Yasser Shevim Yehudah. The Ramban goes on a lengthy exposition, which the Ramban does often. And it's in English, by the way, if everyone needs English as well. And the Ramban says that the Chashmonaim, the Hasmoneans.
Hi. I'm outside.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, I'm outside.
Oh, come hit the bell on the side of the door. I'll let you in.
This okay. Thank you. Sorry.
No, this door. Base Medrash door.
Oh, some other people coming.
I'll go tell her that.
Oh.
Confusion.
I got it.
Oh, she went to the other side. Yes. Okay. Yeah, we're having the new bell system. I'll wait. So look up the Ramban in Vayechi. So it's when Yaakov gives the blessings, and some of them are blessings and some of them are really not such blessings, especially when it gives to Shimon and Levi. The blessing that when it gives to Yehudah, so the Ramban goes on a lengthy exposition about why and he goes against the Chashmonaim who took over, and they ultimately became the Hasmonean dynasty, the leaders of the Jewish people. They took over the kingship, but who are the Chashmonaim? Kohanim are obviously not from Yehudah. So he says, and that's one of the reasons that we can't, that they were held to task, is, and by the way, that anybody who says, the Gemara in Bava Basra says, anybody who says they're from Beis Chashmonai, anybody who says that they're from the Hasmonean house is telling a lie because there's none left. He says that's why they went extinct. They ruled. Now we know the story of Hanukkah. It's a great story, the oil, but what happens after that is that they kept on, they hung on to the leadership. Right, Dina's at the door. We're just going to have to buzz her in. They took over the kingship. Wait till she gets to the door. Wait till she gets to the door. Now, hit it now. Yeah.
Okay.
See, you know how hard it is for terrorists to get into the Shiur? You have any idea how hard it is? Welcome back. Yeah. Right.
I'm talking about how hard it is for terrorists to get into the Shiur.
Very hard because I said Rabbi Klevenoff, I said, thank you, have a good day. And hung up.
Yeah, it's I know. Yeah, because I don't want to see anybody. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's still in the installation phase. Okay, it's funny. I guess it doesn't. I don't know if they have that part set up. It's funny because I'm supposed to get an alert. Anyway, the Chashmonaim who are Kohanim, so then they become the kingship, and they actually end up completely assimilating, become with the Idumeans, et cetera. No more Chashmonaim. Fine. There's a great theory. The Chassam Sofer brings a theory, which I may mention this over Hanukkah, is that that's one of the reasons why there is no tractate in Mishnah for Hanukkah. There's a tractate for Purim called Megillah. Why is there no tractate Hanukkah? There's a lot to talk about, a lot of laws. Menorah, how many lights, this, that, what time do you light? Lots of stuff. The Gemara has 2 pages, a page and a half, not even a page. And so why is it that there? She said, Chassam Sofer says Rabbi Yehudah Hanassi traced his lineage back to Shevet Yehudah, to the tribe of Yehudah, and he's like, oh, I'll show you. I'm not going to include you in the canonization of the Mishnah because you usurped the throne. People have all kinds of egos. I mean, but Yehudah, at this point, Yehudah's first. Yehudah's had the best part in the formation in the Midbar. Yehudah's first. So look at this. So therefore, it says, in beginning of chapter 15, the lot for the tribe of the children of Judah according to the families, was up to the border of Edom, the wilderness of Sin southward, and the southernmost edge. So if you look at the map, right, so it goes, and you can see where it says Yehudah, and we're not going to get to it yet now, but if you see that Shimon, you see there's like a balloon of Shimon in the map here. That's because Shimon became so small, right, over time that they became subsumed and incorporated into the area of Yehudah. That's Shimon. Now, by the way, that also strikes back to this week's parsha, because when Yaakov gives the bracha, he says, Shimon v'Levi achim, klei chamas mecherosehem, et cetera, and he literally lets him have it. If your father ever gives you that kind of bracha, I wouldn't feel so good about yourself. So he gives him the bracha, but if you would track from that moment, by the way, if you had to put it on a graph, the success or the arc of the story of the tribe of Shimon versus the arc of the story of Levi, right? What happens with Levi after Vayechi? Levi becomes Aaron, Moshe, Miriam, Kohanim, saving from the Egel. And even though they don't have great numbers, but their arc of their story goes up, Shimon, Baal Peor, all these other things, and Shimon becomes so few in number because after the Magefa, they're so few in number that there's not even enough to give them. So therefore, they don't get their own territory even. Shimon gets subsumed under Yehudah. We'll see that a little bit later on, but it's interesting but it all comes from this week's parsha in Vayechi. So what does that tell you, by the way? That just is that Yaakov gave a bracha, but that's not a decree in terms of you can't escape your fate. It is possible to reverse. If your father said, listen, you guys are awful and you guys should never play together ever, right? You guys cannot be together. So when we learn with the kids Friday night after shul, so one of the things I do is the brothers are not allowed to sit next to each other. Especially have a set of twins and they're like incorrigible. And I can't tell them apart. So I have to really set them apart. I really can't tell them apart. So they have to set apart. He says, you can't play apart. But does that mean that you're doomed forever? You're not going to be anything? No. Well, Shimon was doomed because maybe they didn't do anything to help their cause, but Levi turned it around. Rabbi Sachs has a beautiful insight into this in his Haggadah. If you don't have Rabbi Sachs's Haggadah, then, why do you even have a library? But if you have Rabbi Sachs's Haggadah, he has in the back part of the essays, he says it's B'zchus Nashim Tzidkanios. He says it's the women of the tribe of Levi that actually turn things around. So that's a really nice insight. Okay. So here we have the broad strokes of their land. Now, Vayhi Lehem, it's going to be a lot of names. So you could try and, if you want, you could try and find the names on the map. I just want to give you an idea. You have the perspective of what we're talking about. Vayhi Lehem Gvul Negev Miktzei Yam Hamelach Min Alashon Panei Negba. They have their southern border. Right, we're hearing a lot about the southern border these days. From the edge of the Dead Sea, from the tip that faces south. Then in Pasuk Gimel, vayatze el minegev leMa'alei Akrabim va'avar tzina v'ale minegev leKadesh Barnea va'avar chatzron va'ala adorav v'nasa karka'a. It went out to the south of Ma'alei Akrabim, to Tzin, south of Kadesh Barnea, which we talked about last week. Kadesh Barnea is Meraglim, past Chetzron, towards Adar, circled Karka. So these places are all here, okay? They're all on the map if you want to really, maybe do like a connect the dots. But this is not a journey map, it's just a location map. Okay. And 4, V'avar atzmonav yatsa nachal Mitzrayim, V'ha-yu totzod hagvul yama ze yelachem gvul negev. It passed Atzmon, went out to the brook of Egypt, the borders of outlets were to the sea, and this is your southern border. So you see here the line on the bottom gives you the southern border. And by the way, the inset has the larger, you can look at how much of a portion of Israel they have. It's basically Yerushalayim and south, all the way to the Negev. So I'm going to read you something from Rabbi Hatton, which is really interesting also, just to give you something to think about next time you go to Israel. Or next time you just got back from Israel and you wish you could have done that. Right? You never do enough when you're there. Ugvul Kedma Yam Hamelach Aktzei Yarden, Ugvul Pas Safonim Loshana Yam Aktzei Yarden. And the eastern border was from the Yam HaMelech, the Salt Sea, to the end of the Jordan. The border on the northern side was from the tip of the sea at the end of the Jordan River. Okay? V'Allah Hagvul Beis Chagla, V'Avar Mitzvon LeBeis Arava, V'Algvul Evan Bohan Ben Reuven. And the border ascended Beis Hagla, passed to the north of Beis Arava, then it went up to the stone of Bohan, the son of Reuven. V'Allah Hagvul Dvira Me'emek Achor V'Tzafon Ponel Gilgal, Asher Nochach L'Malei Adumim, Asher Menegev L'Nachav, V'Avar Gul Amei Ein Shemesh, V'Yitotosav El Ein Rogel. Now, what's interesting here is that when you see many modern names, well, they're not modern names, they're just names that we still have. Okay, so when you see something that went towards Devere from the Valley of Achor, facing Gilgal, which is opposite Male Adumim. Now, is the Male Adumim today the same Male Adumim as that? I don't know, but it could be that they picked the Male Adumim name now because they know that it's around this place. What's Male Adumim? Male Adumim. Anybody been to Male Adumim ever? Yeah. Male Adumim is like where you stop when you're heading down to the Negev. I mean down to the Dead Sea. And then it gets lower and lower and lower, and you're this below sea level and that below sea level. There are no stupid questions. There are only stupid answers.
Did they get such a big area because of their population or because it was the?
Yeah, a lot of his population. Yeah, a lot of population. I hear there's a number here. Hold on. According to the tribe of Yehudah numbered 74,600 of military age. Later it says 26. Anyway, in both cases, Yehudah outranked its closest rival tribe by about 10,000 men. That's just men, not to mention when you add in women and children. So yeah. Yeah, I thought it's the same thing because I'm like, oh, is they special because they're, they got a good spot. What you'll notice also is that it's you see Binyamin gets a little schmitchik here, but it's like the gerrymandering of the districts here is really interesting. Okay, I like the little thing. But Binyamin is in Yerushalayim. In other words, so the Gemara says that there are certain parts of the Beis HaMikdash that had to be in the Shevet of Binyamin. And the reason is since Binyamin was not involved in the sale of the brothers, because the Beis HaMikdash cannot tolerate being in a location of someone that was involved in brotherly strife, right? And so when you, so for instance, today, if you leave Yerushalayim, now I know, I don't know why, but I know whenever we think of, let's say going from Yerushalayim to Tel Aviv, we always think north-south, south-north, but it's really not. It's more west, much more west, a little north, but much more west. Or you think of, let's say, going from Yerushalayim to Beit Shemesh. If you look at the inset, you see Yerushalayim to Beit Shemesh right here. Here's I'll look at the inset for those online here. Yerushalayim to Beit Shemesh. Okay, it's even like southwest a little bit. So I'm the way I was raised. My Israel knowledge is that everything was so Yerushalayim centric. Like everything revolved, my school was outside Yerushalayim, but everything revolved around Yerushalayim. So if you're going to go to Beit Shemesh, let's say if you're going to go to Beit Shemesh to Hebron, or if you're going to go to Beit Shemesh to the Gush area, you would think, oh yeah, you got to go to Yerushalayim and then go down by Malcham. No. There's actually a much more direct way. There's a road from Beit Shemesh that goes straight to the Gush. Okay, and you can actually see the road where the Lamed Hey, where the whole bit, or if you want to go take it's a crazy roads also. If you want to take it back way to Hadassah and Kerem Hospital, if you want to go that way, that's nuts. But the way to from the Gush to Beit Shemesh is actually much more simple than going through Yerushalayim. Certainly, and you'll see the signs going to Hebron. When you go to Beit Shemesh, it's like, oh, make a left here if you want to go to Hebron. And if you go to Beit Shemesh today, like everywhere else in Israel, there are 197,000 traffic circles. Bakikar, Hamshech Yamina. Bakikar, Hamshech Yashar. Bakikar. Stop at the Kikar already. I just want to drive straight over them. Ridiculously Kikar. I think it's made traffic worse since they put them in, but
So bad.
right? I don't know.
So bad.
And
How to drive. That's part of the problem.
no, I know how to drive them. You got to just go in until somebody hits you because that's what you do. That's how everybody else drives, right? I got stuck on a car in the middle of the center of Akko over the summer. My car broke down. I told you that story. That was not fun in 100-degree weather. And the only guy that stopped was like a firm guy in a $250,000 Porsche. Go figure. Anyway, I'm like, oh, I feel at home. So anyway, so you see here Mali Adumim. You see here also Ein Shemesh, the waters of Ein Shemesh and Ein Rogel. Va'allah hagvul. Oh, this is good. Now and look at Ches. Va'allah hagvul gay ben chinom el kesef hayivusim negev Yerushalayim. Va'allah hagvul el rosh hahar asher al pnei gay hinom yama asher b'ktei emek refaim tzefona. The border is ascended by the valley of the son of Hinnom, Gay ben Hinnom. Okay, does this sound familiar to you? Gay ben Hinnom, the value of ben Hinnom. Well, let me put it to you this way. Fill in the blanks. Lashon hara lamed hey. Go to blank the easy way. Fill in the blank. Gehenim.
Yeah.
Lashon hara lamed hey. Go to Gehenim the easy way. That's what we used to say in school, right? So what's Gehenim? Gehenim we think is hell. You're gonna go to Gehenim. You're gonna be no. Gehenim is the valley of Ben Hinnom. Which, by the way, if you're coming out of the old city of Jerusalem, and you come around where across here there's a big valley there. Almost Chutzot Yotzer. And they have the food truck festival, and they have there's a new bridge actually that they a walking bridge that they have over there. You look across, you can see the Bacon Museum. That whole valley, and further down the valley, that's the valley of Ben Hinnom. Now it was considered a godforsaken place, whatever, but here it is. But notice how it goes up to the southern shoulder of the Jebusite, which is Jerusalem. Now they did not take over Yerushalayim yet. Yerushalayim does not become ours until the time of David HaMelech. The Jebusites, because there's a deal that's made with Avram Avinu, and Yevus is considered a direct descendant of Abimelech, and because he wasn't allowed to, he had a pact that we couldn't take over or hurt the family of Abimelech. That it's not until they purchase the land and they get it later, they get Yevus, which is Yerushalayim. But right now, Minegev hi Yerushalayim, and then they would go up to the mountain that faces the valley of Hinnom on the west, which is at the northern edge of the valley of Rephaim. Asher b'ktei emek Rephaim tzefona. So this is, for instance, if you stand at, let's say, the Orient Hotel. Orient Hotel. It's a favorite place of mine. But the Orient Hotel is at a very important crossroads of Derech Hebron, Derech Beit Lechem, and Rehov Emek Rephaim, also known as Emek, or as my daughter here, she says Emek. Because I'm a makbid on the tzere, but in Israel they're not. So Emek Rephaim. Why is the street called Emek Rephaim? It's by the way, it shoots out three ways. Where Tachana Rishona, right, where the original train station was, which now is like you can have restaurants and go fly around in bubbles in the summer or something, whatever. But Derech Hebron, Derech Beit Lechem, Emek Rephaim. So you take Emek Rephaim all the way down, you go one way. Derech Hebron, obviously you'll end up like, and Derech Beit Lechem. If you want to take that all the way down, then you can go right to Kever Rachel. You
Yeah,
go-
they're killing, they're putting a light rail there.
What?
Yeah, good for everything.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Well, there's
There's not a lot of.
No, that's
not a lot of room, not a lot of room, but they figure it out. They figure it out. It's all good. It's all figured.
And they're taking products off.
They're taking it. It's like another 10 years of construction. Okay, what else is there? Fine. The most impressive feat is watching a full-size coach bus get into the parking lot, the entranceway of the Orient Hotel, which is, it's like one of those really sharp turns. You never think they're going to make it, and they always make it. But here you see it in the Chumash in the Tanakh, going up the valley of Ben Hinnom. Because if you know, where those three streets meet, and then if you just go straight towards the old city, you have to go over the valley of Ben Hinnom. You can walk down that way and snake around, right? And there's that one wire that crossed, because that's when when it was Jordanian territory, they used to ferry things back and forth. They still have that wire that's over there. It's hard to see, but when you're stuck in traffic, because that's very easy to be stuck in traffic in the old city coming out of the Kotel area, going back to civilization, is you see that wire hanging over. There's like a little thing that they used to swing back and forth. So that's that. V'ta'ar hagvul me'rosh ha'har mayan me'neftoach v'yatzel arei ha'refron v'ta'ar gvul ba'Allah kiryat yarim. The border curved from the top of the mountain to the spring of the waters of Neftoch and went out to cities of Mount Ephron. Then it went toward Ba'al, which is Kiryat Yarim. Now, Kiryat Yarim here. Let's see if I have it in detail on this map. Kiryat Yarim. You see where it says Yerushalayim? Go up here, up to the left, up a little bit northwest. Mein Neftoch, and keep going. Kiryat Yarim. Kiryat Yarim today is a place called Telstone. So if you take the Jerusalem-Tel Aviv highway, you come out of, and it's changed so many times that it's hard to like know what's what. You know, you come out of the road and you don't even, but because of the new tunnel roads that they have, you hardly ever use the main entrance through Shalim anymore, because they want to develop that into a pedestrian mall and all the public transportation. So they're discouraging cars from coming in, because you can go to the north and to the south using those new tunnel roads. But let's say you're coming out, and on the right, you see you're leaving Yerushalayim. You see Ramot on the side. If you look down in that valley, by the way, now you can see the high-speed rail coming out of the mountain. Down, when you go down the 80-meter escalators, the third steepest escalator in the Middle East, right? Some people don't like doing it because when you look back and you're like, whoa, especially if you have a heavy backpack and you fall backwards, not a good thing. And so you come out, you see, and if you look in that valley below, by the way, where the train is, I'm just giving you all this information, which you're not going to get anywhere else, is that there's the only 9/11 memorial outside of the United States that has pieces of the World Trade Center in it. There is a 9/11 memorial. It's right actually near the new Kraft Park. Kraft Park used to be in Gunsacker. They made a new one in this area, but if you got to take this, you can't even take a regular bus. You have to get off your bus and take a little smaller bus, a tender, they call it, and you go, and they have this beautiful memorial right there in the mountains, and it has the names of all the people, and it has actually a piece of the World Trade Center. The only one outside the United States that has that. Okay. You go down, you see Ramot, then you hit the road, and then the first thing you see, the first hill is Mevaseret Zion, and then now the road kind of like goes through Mevaseret. Used to be, it would go around. It was a very dangerous road. Mevaseret actually had a referendum that they had an option to get a stop on the high-speed rail, and they declined it. Boy, they're upset about that. Then you go over Mevaseret, you see a place called Harel, because that was very key in the 6-Day War when they came and conquered Jerusalem for the Tzanchanim. You go down, and then you see something called a Rafa, a Nakuba, a couple of Arab towns, and you hit Abu Ghosh. If you go through the streets of Abu Ghosh, which was always a very, very good relationship with the Jews there. I only know this because I went to yeshiva in Telstone, so we shared the cabs in Abu Ghosh. There's something actually called Chumus Abu Ghosh, which actually has a very, very good hashgacha. But they're open on Shabbos, and some people like to go there. It's funny because a lot of Jerusalemites who don't keep Shabbos, they go to Abu Ghosh to eat. Interesting. If you go up the hill, there's something called Ma'ala Chamisha or Haradar, which if you got stuck on the last 186 bus going back to yeshiva that you had to take, we used to call it the puker because it went all up and down the roads and back and forth. There's a beautiful spa, the Kramim Spa. If you want a nice spa, that's beautiful. It's part of the Israel chain. The Kramim Spa is up there. Malach Hamisha, also a very, very key part in the 6-Day War when it came down, and all the battles actually, because if you keep going, you'll end up towards the 48 War, the Burma Road. But before Abu Ghosh, the first Jewish town that you have after Abu Ghosh is Kiryat Yearim. So now you don't go through Abu Ghosh anymore. They changed the highway. You don't have to do that anymore. You go to the second exit, you get off, and the first thing you see is there's something called Neve Ilan. There's a beautiful hall there, but there's also a kibbutz there and a recreation center. In the gas station after the first kikar, you'll see a giant statue of Elvis Presley. The guy in the gas station for years has made himself an Elvis museum. And buses stop there and they go and he sells all kind of tchotchkes, whatever. If you like Elvis, that's your kind of thing. But if you keep going straight, after the kikar, already on your right side, you see Kiryat Yearim, which is Telstone. Telstone used to be really small. Now it comes all the way back to the highway. That's how much it's expanded. It's a Haredi town. And people who couldn't afford to live in Yerushalayim or they just settled there. It's really close to Yerushalayim. Really, really interesting. But in Kiryat Yearim, which is what it was named for, and on top, there's actually a memorial on the very top of the hill, a memorial for Mickey Marcus. Mickey Marcus, who was a key figure, an American soldier who helped out during the War of Independence. What was the name of the movie?
Something courage.
I keep saying Cry the Beloved Country, but no, it's
We watched that.
there's a story of Mickey Mouse. Oh, I'm such a doofus. I can't see. That's what happened. I had a birthday and I get older and I can't remember anything. That's it. I'm done. Okay. It'll come to me if you Google it up. Are you Googling
I'll
it?
Google it.
Google Mickey Marcus movie and you'll find out. And there's a memorial right there on top, but that's called Kiryat Yearim. That's this. So love the.
התל צל ענק,
Yes, the John.
אבל איך אומרים באנגלית?
Thank you. Cast a giant shadow. Thank you.
בדיוק.
Thank you. You said something else in a different language I don't understand, but now it clicked. Thank you. Mimi, what would we do without you? Maybe I should start giving the shiur in Hebrew. How do you think that would go? Nachon, that would last about 12 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah?
Because you couldn't do it.
And not a good 12. The truth is, if I really had to, I could. But yeah. Anyway, so it goes.
That was a question. That wasn't an.
Oh, and then it goes down to Beit Shemesh. So up and Beit Shemesh. So if you continue on the Jerusalem-Tel Aviv highway, the next stop that you have is Beit Meir, which is where OJ is, or Shalom. And if you keep going down, you go down the hills where you see all the burnt out trucks from 1948, which they used to be one place, now they moved them, and there's a monastery and the Burma Road, and you go on Route 38, that's how you get to Beit Shemesh. Okay, it used to be that off the Jerusalem-Tel Aviv highway, you would wait, there was a turning lane, and you would wait to make a left turn. And how many accidents they saw? They finally got smart and they made a circle to go underneath so you don't have to cross over oncoming traffic. Okay. V'yatzah hagvul Yud Aleph el kesef ekron safona v'tar gvul shikrona v'avar har balav yatzah yavnael v'ayutasas hagvul yama. And then they would go to Ekron to the north. Again, Ekron is all the way up here in the Philistine area, which they didn't take over the Philistine areas, as we know, as we've been saying. The border curved towards Shikron, past Mount Ba'ala, went out to Jabneel, and there to the sea. And then the western border, Ugvul Yam Hayam Hagadol, Ugvul Zegvul Bnei Yehudah Simush B'chasam. The western border was the Great Sea, of course, went all the way to the ocean. It's not an ocean, though, it's a sea. And this is the border of the children of Yehudah all around, according to their families. Now, let's just recap what we happened to Kalev. Well, Kalev ben Yefuneh, Nasan Chelek, Besoch, Bnei Yehudah al Pi Hashem Yehoshua, as curious Arba Avianak Hebron. And as we said last week, Kalev got a portion with, according to Hashem's word to Yehoshua, he got Kiryat Arba, the father of the Anakim, which is Hebron. And Kalev, who, by the way, still had it at 85, right? He could still go. And he gets rid of those three with the same names, which we saw already in Bereshis. I don't think it means them. I think it means their descendants, but he's able to chase them out. And they went there from, they ascended from there to the inhabitants of Zvir, and it used to be called Kiryat Sefer. Now, I don't think this is referring to the Kiryat Sefer that we have today. Kiryat Sefer, which is near Modi'in, which is also a Haredi place. It's a big Kollel town. People learn Kollel in Kiryat Sefer. And Kalev says, whoever could conquer Kiryat Sefer, right? I'll give my daughter Achsa as a wife. Now, it's pretty good. The Mefarshim tell us here that it was not Kalev's to give away. We know it. We're just told what Kalev got. So how could he offer something that wasn't his to get? So it's based on the Gemara and Tamura that It says that on the day of transfer from Moshe to Yehoshua, and over time, that many, many laws were forgotten. You started this year by asking what happens when we don't know the answer to something. So he said many laws were forgotten. That happens. And the Gemara in a couple of places laments the fact that Yehoshua took over. They actually wanted to get rid of him because he forgot so many halachas that he spent all those years of Moshe Rabbeinu and he forgot. By the way, it's very possible to forget things. It is. It really is. You can forget. I forget things. It happens. It happens. It's something, and then Father Time catches up with you, and then you really, messed up with, right? Like really, really. I can remember an episode of a television show from 40 years ago, but ask me what you told me last week. I'm like, I don't know. That's how it goes. So he says, so here when it says Kiryat Sefer, meaning the Sefer Torah, whoever can help, whoever is qualified to reestablish and remember these laws of the Torah that were forgotten, that's who my daughter should get, like that. But then the story goes a little further, and it says, Vayilkada Asniel ben Kenaz achi Kalev, vayitein lo es achsa bitol isha. Asniel ben Kenaz, the brother of Kalev, conquered it. It wasn't his brother, it was his half-brother. That's why he's called ben Kenaz. Kalev was Kalev ben Yefuna, and his mother got remarried to somebody named Kenaz, and Asniel. And so he gave his daughter Achsa as a wife. I always wondered if Otniel itself is named after Otniel ben Kenaz. I never looked into that. I have to look. Otniel, if you look on the map, I don't know if it's on this map per se, but if you look south of Hebron, okay, almost at Beersheba is Otniel. Is it here? No, I don't think it's on this map. It'd be on a modern day map. If you take Route 60 and go all the way down south from Hebron and then keep going almost toward Beersheba, it's like the exit of the Shtachim in the southern in the Hebron hills. That's Otniel, beautiful, beautiful place. Have this gorgeous yeshiva there. I went there. It's going to be her yard site. Actually, it's her yard site coming up very, very soon. Daphne Meir, Hashem Yekum Dama. If you remember, she was a nurse. She worked in the hospital, in Soroka Hospital, and she was murdered in her home by an Arab terrorist who they used to do work on home. And her daughter, Renana, who's now married with kids, Renana found her mom, and she had enough wherewithal training to know not to pull the knife out. And she tried to so I went to the Shiva. I went to the Shiva there, and we were on a family trip. It's 2016. We're on a family trip there, and my kids I'm like, I gotta go. I'm leaving. First of all, no one ever needs too much of an excuse to leave an entire family trip. It's the only time that my parents had all of their grandchildren together. It's the only time ever it happened, because I have a sister who lives in Israel, and she has 8 kids. So it's the only time they had it together. We have a great picture at the Kotel. It was Yeshiva week. It was a cold January day and week. And we said to the kids, we're getting the riot act. I'm like, we're having a photo shoot at the Kotel, and you're going to smile, and you're going to behave. And I don't care if nobody's wearing a coat. It turned out it was 60 degrees that day. It was beautiful. So we all have this beautiful picture. It's like curved frame that we all have in our homes. It was really a very special thing. So first I actually went, it was Keith Mendelssohn's father died. So I went to Har Menuchos I know Keith for a lot of years. I went there to the Kavura, and from there we drove to Otniel. My driver was, so scared, because even with his gun and everything, he was real. I won't get scared, but he was like, okay. So we went to Otniel. I got, huh? Yeah, it's fun.
She didn't realize what she was doing until she got there, and then she realized how scary it was.
Shomer Psoyim Hashem, right? Oh my God, I completely forgot my introduction today. My introduction is that, one of our greatest attendees of this year that you never see in person. She always watches afterwards and comments. It gives me Maggie. Today's Maggie's birthday. Maggie Newman's birthday. Maggie turned 29 today. So happy birthday, Maggie. She's the best. She watches every year. She writes back to me in French. Okay, now we have Spanish, I have French, we have it all covered. So we go down there and I go to the Shiva house. Now I've done this a lot. I go to Shiva houses, people know it. I don't know them, they don't know me. And the custom is they pass around, of course, always like tea or something, because they want you to make a bracha. If you make a bracha in the home of someone who died, it's an aliyah for the neshama. So Natan, who's the husband, who, by the way, since he got remarried, was very nice, got remarried, and it's very jarring when you're sitting in a shiva room and right over there is she was murdered, 10 feet away in the kitchen. But he sits to me and he's just he just goes like this. He goes,
Who are you?
yeah, so I explained to him, and he's like, so we became friends. That's what we do. But I first stopped in Othniel in yeshiva, beautiful yeshiva on top of the hill. And they're like, "You want to stay for the shiur? Can I get you something?" It was so nice. And I said, "I came for the shiva." And I thought, they told me exactly where to go because it's not a big place, but it's beautiful, and it's a very well-known yeshiva. Hesder yeshiva, really very well-known, and they've also now all these Hesder yeshiva towns, they've all suffered so many losses. And you see from the yeshiva notes, if we lost this bacher and this bacher and this bacher, so it goes on and on and on. So I always wondered if Othniel is named after this. I never looked into it, but when I'm just thinking aloud. Anyway, so she comes, so he marries her. When she comes, this daughter, Achsa, not Ichsa, by the way, it's Achsa. Okay, but see, made me laugh. I like that. But he. So she came, she urged, he's like, ask her father for a field. So it says, here it says, she slid off the donkey. The Mitzuda Sian says, he pila atzmo bekoach. She like jumped off the donkey. So in other words, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Kalev is very active. He does things. He's willing to go get the tree. She's not shy. She's no wallflower. And he's like, what do you want? She says, Vayomer Tinali Brachaki Eretz Hanegev Nasatani Venasati Li Gulus Mayim V'Tenla Eskulus Elios V'Eskulus Tachios. She's like, give me a source of blessing. You give me an arid land. Give me springs of water. So like, I don't want just a desert. I need some water also. So he gave her both. Okay. I'm going to just fly through the rest of these psukim in English because it's a lot of names. All right. So, and then I want to go back and read you something. This is, and this is where the maps come in handy. This is the heritage of the tribe of Yehudah, according to their families. So the cities at the extremity are their border of Edom in the south were Kavzeel, Eder, Yagur, Kina, Dimona, Ada'ah. There's Dimona. I wonder if Dimona is also maybe, where the chocolate factory is. Kedesh, Chatzor, Gezunt, Tzif, Telem, Baalot, Chatzor, Chadat, Kiryot, Chetzron, Chatzor, Amam, Shema, Molada, Chatzar, Gada, Cheshmon, Bet Pelet, Chatzar, Shul, Beersheva, Biziota. Beersheva was named like 6 times in Bereshis. Every time, that's why we call Beersheva. Baala, Lim, Ezem, El Tolad, Chasil, Charma, Ziklag, Sansana, Livaot, Shilhim, Ain, Rimon, all the cities, 29 in their villages. And then in the lowland, there was Eshtaol. So these places you see, Eshtaol, it's which appears in one of the Haftorahs, Eshtaol, Zora, Ashna, Zanoa, En Ganim, Tapuach, Einam, Yarmuth, Adulam, Soko, Azekah, Sharim, Aditaim, Hagerat, which is Gederotayim, 14 cities. Then you have Sinan, Chadasha, Migdal Gad, Dilan, Mitzpeh, Yakteel, Lachish, Baktzat, Vegon, Kabal, Achmas, Chitzlish, Gderot, Beit Dagon, Nama, Makedel, Arim, Sheshisrei, Chatzrehem, they have 16. Then you have Livna, Eser, Ashan, Yiftach, Ashna, Vedetziv. Everybody's going to get tested on this, by the way. This is all going to be on the final.
Yeah.
Okay? You have to know all these names. By the way, there are people that know this. When they do this, the Chidara Tanakh people, they're like, okay. They're like, where was Ashna? Oh, well, obviously that's it's in Yehoshua, Perek Tesvav. Obviously that's one of the lowlands and the highlands. Something like, okay, 9 cities, and then you have Ekron. Ekron in the village is from Ekron to the sea. Ekron, which is near Ashdod. Ashdod, of course, is still there on the sea. Then you have Ashdod, its towns and village. Gaza, its town and villages to the brook of Egypt, the great Mediterranean port. See, we have Gaza. Aza, Benoseh, Chatzereha, and all the Ashpot of Gaza, which we have now. But we have the sea at its border. And in the mountain, you have Shamir, Yatir, Soko, Dana, Kiryat Sana, Devir, Anav, Esh, Temo, Anim, Goshen, Cholim, Gilo. And you have 11 cities there. Then you have Arav, Rumah, Duma, Esha'an. Then you have Yanum, Beit Tapoch, Afeka, Chumta, Kiryat Arba, Chevron. And then you have 9 cities there. Ma'on, Carmel, was of Utah. Ma'on, which is in this, if it's the same, Ma'on is in the southern Chevron hills. There are a few settlements there, like Ma'on, Susia, places like that, which are also quite beautiful, but, fun to get to. And then Yisrael, Yakdam, Zanach, Hakain, and Givav, Timna, Arim, Eser, Chatzrehem. Then you have those 10 cities, and then we're going to finish up the Peker, and you have Beit Sur, Gedor, Ma'arat, Beit Anot, Altakon. Then you have 6. Then you have Kiryat Baal, Kiryat Yarim, Araba, Arim Shteva Chatzrehem. You have those 2, and you have those 2 cities. And then Bamidbar, Beis Arava, Midon Sechacha, Vahanim Shan, V'Yaramelach, V'Engedi, V'Arim Shesh Chatzrehem. Now the last thing is Ves Hayivusi, Yeshvei Yerushalayim, Lo Yachalu B'nei Yehudah Lo Yisham, V'Yashev V'Yeshev Yehudah Hayivusi Es B'nei Yehudah B'Yerushalayim Arei Hamazeh. The Yevusi, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, were not able to be driven out, and they dwelled among the children of Yehudah in Jerusalem until this day, until we actually have Jerusalem. Lots of names. By the way, what?
Why are they in?
Just the regions, sort of like the, so now, if you look at in modern day on the map, this is all called Hare Yehudah.
Mhm.
What's interesting is that here, I want to show you something Rabbi Hatton writes. He says, the territorial lands of Yehudah included a representative selection of the major climatic zones of Canaan, arranged as a series of narrow strips from west to east. You know that there's lots of different weather in Israel. It could be snowing and you could be on the beach, and that's the fist, you know, the mountains and the plains. These are the flat and fertile coastal plain, the gently sloping foothills, the rocky central highlands, and the foreboding and barren wilderness overlooking the Dead Sea. Additionally, there was a fifth topographic zone, the parched southern expanse beyond Beersheba, known as Negev. Perhaps the territory of Judah ought to be regarded as sort of a microcosm of the land of Canaan itself, much as the tribe of Yehudah was to become the pivotal tribe in Israel, and later in the biblical period during the ascendancy of Assyria in the 8th century BCE, the only remaining tribe of importance. Eventually, by the period of the Persian Empire that rose to prominence in the 6th century BCE, the people of Israel be identified solely by their association with this one extant tribe, becoming known as Jews or Yehudim after its name. Yehudim Baim. I knew it again. I knew it again. Yes. So the best way for me to explain this to you of how to see this is, okay, so everybody's been to like Hebrew U? Heart Soap. Used to be there was a nice hotel there. It's now the Dan Hotel.
It's the Ramada Renaissance.
It
Yeah.
was
Sofrim?
no,
No, in Kibbutz
Like
Ramos.
Kibbutz
That was
Ramos.
Kibbutz Ramos.
לא בהר
it was a Hyatt. It was a Hyatt for many years. You could see it from the old city. You could see the big windows, all those windows. So my daughter on her teen travel this year, usually instead of staying in they always used to stay in Kilo. It was the Ramat Rachel, right? That was the
כן.
you say Ramat Rachel, which is, you know, it's a kibbutz hotel. Okay, they stayed in the Don. Like, no, it's in the middle of nowhere. Like, it's very hard to get to. Like, every time I had to pick her up, it was like, it's annoying to get to.
דרך חברון.
You get there, Hebron, and you have to go like you make a wrong turn somewhere. You like, and just to get in, you have to circle around. Then I told her, by the way, you know what this hotel is famous for? She's like, what? I'm like, the reason why nobody stays there anymore, what killed the tourism in that hotel was a murder. You know this. Rechavam Zevi, who's known as Gandhi, was murdered in that hotel by terrorists. Right? And look it up. Famous story. And then there's a famous bridge named after him. The overlook from Har Hazesim to that's the best view of the old city of Jerusalem. So looking at that direction from the Mount of Olives to the old city, that is called Mitzpeh Gandhi or Mitzpeh Rechavam. Rechavam Zevi, he was known as Gandhi. There's a road and there's a bridge named after him also. So he was murdered in that hotel. So when I told her that, she kind of had a different view of the hotel. Like, why did you have to tell me that? That somebody was. I'm like, yeah, right there in your room. Okay. No. So, but very nice hotel. But if you take the road up without going to the hotel, and you go to the top as if you're going up to Har Hazesim, you stop there. And you park on the street. On one side of the street, if you walk this way, you could see the whole Mount of Olives and the old city. And if you walk not 20 paces on the other side of the main road there, you walk over and you see, what do you see? You see the desert. It's amazing how you could see the topography and the change of climate and everything. That's the desert going towards, you know, down south, towards like, you know,
If you go to
towards
the
Mali.
there in Vermont, you know, I studied there when there was no new buildings yet. I mean, it's in everything, and you're by the desert.
Right? You see, because it's amazing. You can say, wait a minute, but that's what they're talking about. It's like on one side, it's like lush and populated and streams. And the other side, and that's why, by the way, when they have those when it rains or then things like that, it's very dangerous. Those runoffs of the water, they always have signs there, and that's why the road to the Dead Sea, as you're going towards, they keep changing it because all the craters, it keeps falling apart more and more and more. But that's here. So the Yehudah has this very, very important territory, which kept like a whole part. If you look here on this map here, and if you look on the inset, how much they have, how important that was for the center of Israel, Yamamelech and the borders and towards Egypt, etc. Really, really important. So we'll see some of the other smaller tribes as we go on. But it's important, again, you always have to have the visual with you so that you can understand and appreciate the topography. That's one of the great things is I always say, I've told you that when I bring a group to Yerushalayim, I want to show them before they go to the old city, you got to see it from every side. You got to see it from Har Tzofim. You got to see it from Har Hazeisim, from the Mount of Olives. You have to see it from the lookout, the Has Promenade. Right, that where if you're in like going through Talpiot, then you go from Armanon Netziv, you have to see it from that way. Then you come in through the old city from on top, then you go down and you go in, and then you have a real perspective of it. But you see the topography of the land is so important to understand, and why Yehudah was so important for them. So this hopefully all brings it into focus. You know, I'm trying to make really boring stuff exciting because these are just a lot of names, and thank God they're not numbers. Also, a little bit of numbers, not like population numbers. Oh, this is they counted this, they died. 200,000, they died. It's not like that. At least we have that. So we'll see more as we go on. And please, everybody, make sure to wish Maggie a happy birthday today because it's a special day. It's Isru Chag.
It's actually Boxing Day in Canada.
It is Boxing Day. So you know why it's called Boxing Day?
That's
Why
why
is
they to give boxes of gifts to their servants.
Right. Nothing to do with boxing.
Food.
Yeah. And really, in England, it's known for one thing: there's a lot of soccer games. Boxing Day is a big soccer day in England, in the UK. And yeah, so everybody should go box. We're not going to have Shiur until next year.
A week from.
Yes, a week from today will be 2024. Don't forget to, when you write checks, if anybody who still writes checks, to make sure you write 24. How many times have you done? You wrote the wrong year in January, so always, right? Anyway, all right. Have a good day. Gila, stay out of trouble. Oh, it's Kwanzaa. Oh, Haitis Kwanzaa also, right? Of course. And tomorrow's Festivus for the rest of us. We have the airing of grievances.
Oh my God, don't tell me another holiday.